Welcome back to Miss Curtis's art class. Today we are going to make hot air balloons, and these hot air balloons are going to be so cool. They're going to have different lines and shapes in them. So we're going to get started on drawing the hot air balloon itself, and then I'm going to show you how you can add some of these details. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make our frame and name. So I'm going to use a Sharpie marker. I'm going to hold my paper tight and go right around the edge of my paper. Okay. Okay, so I would like your paper to be in the portrait mode. So the longer side of the paper is going in this direction. At the bottom right, please write your first and last name and your homeroom number. Okay, so the first step that I'm going to do is I am actually going to use my pencil and a straight edge. Now I'm using a pencil today because I want to erase as I go. As we're making this hot air balloon, you might find that you need to do some adjustments. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make a straight line, and this is going to be in the middle top area of the paper. So as you can see, I left a little bit of space at the top and then just a little bit at the bottom, and this is where we're going to have the basket. But this line is very long. It's taking up about 3/4 of the page. So I used a straight edge. I just wanted that first line to be straight. If you don't have a straight edge or a ruler, you can just do it by hand, and that's okay. All right, so the next step is I am going to simply start drawing out this balloon, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. So I'm going to make a curving line that's coming out from the left side, and I'm simply going to continue. Now, a hot air balloon is more of an oval shape. So I am going to keep going. I'm sketching this out, taking my time. And it's going to start to curve in the other way now. And I like using a pencil for projects like this because maybe I don't really like the way that the curve went around and I want to erase it. And that's better than using permanent marker and then making a mistake. So there we have a curving line that comes all the way around to the left side right here. And it almost looks like a half moon or a slice of an orange. Okay, now I'm simply going to do the same thing on the other side. And you can either start from the bottom and curve your way up or the top right. Okay. Take your time. Okay, so now I have an oval and I have a straight line down the middle. The next step is we are going to make 2 curving lines on each side right here, okay? So watch me first. The first one is going to start right up here on the top left side, and I am going to simply curve this line. Start to curve it inward here, just like so. Okay, I'm going to make another curving line right in between that line and the very left side of the balloon. Okay, so far so good. So we're gonna do the same thing on the right side. So I'm gonna start with a curving line right about here and then another one. So watch me first. I'm excited to decorate these balloons. And again, if you feel like you've made a mistake, you can always erase it. And then we have one more curving line. Okay, so now we have the hot air balloon itself. We are going to now make a basket, okay? So I've never personally been in a hot air balloon ride, but I've always wanted to go. My little sister actually went on one in Arizona and said it was amazing. So the basket is meant for someone who's flying the balloon. They stand inside the basket and then they help direct where the balloon is going from there. So the first thing we're going to do is make a straight line coming down from that straight line we first made for the hot air balloon. And then we are going to make 2 angled lines, one right here on the left side and one on the right side. Okay? And then we have 2 other angled lines going out from in the other direction. Okay? And so now you have almost like the letter A, and then the letter A over here, and a straight line coming down. Okay, now we are going to make a very thin rectangle shape. Okay, so now we have our last part of the basket, and that is going to be another rectangle shape, and I'm just going to start that straight line right here, so leaving a little bit of an overhang for the top of the basket, and then a straight line coming down, and on the right side, another straight line coming down. And this project is very symmetrical, if you haven't noticed. So everything I'm doing on the left side, I'm also doing on the right side. And then I'm just going to make a straight line at the bottom to finish off this basket. Okay, so we have our basket, the balloon, and if you like the way that it came out, I would suggest taking a Sharpie marker and outlining your balloon. Okay, and that's because we are actually going to use some watercolor markers and crayons. So it would be best if we outlined our balloon so that the pencil lines don't smear away. So I'm going to speed this up as I outline my balloon, and you can do the same right now, and then we'll go on to making our designs inside the balloon. Okay, so now that I've outlined my balloon and I feel pretty good about the lines that I've done, I am going to add some very interesting designs inside of the hot air balloon. So I'm really excited to see how your designs come out. I want you to think about all the different lines that you can put into your balloon. So if you take a look at the screen right now, I'm going to put some examples up. You can think about different circles, swirls, line directions, so angled lines, straight lines. Again, I like squares, circles, rectangles, and I am so excited to see what you come up with. So try and remember to make your picture symmetrical. So that means whatever you're doing at the top and the bottom or the left and the right, you're trying to mirror it. So you want it to be the same on both sides. I am going to start by making a interesting design. I'm going to use some lines towards the middle, and then I'm going to do some circles at the top, some swirls at the bottom, and I'm going to let you take a look at this. I'm going to actually speed it up so you can see how I designed mine, and then you can start to design yours. Okay, so I had a lot of fun making that design. When I was talking about symmetry, I was talking about some ideas of having images that you draw on the left side mirror the ones that are on the right side. And even this way, from top to bottom, you could do the same. So things that are at the top possibly be at the bottom, but you don't have to do the entire thing symmetrical. This middle part I wanted to be more symmetrical, but then I started to even add a couple more circles over here rather than the left side. This top part is pretty symmetrical. Everything that I did on the left, I did on the right. But down here, I started to get a little more creative, and when I was doing my swirls all around, they're not the same on either side. So I can't wait to see how your designs come out. Now we are going to add color. So I am going to do a watercolor background, and then I'm going to simply use markers and crayons in the middle of the balloon. If you don't have watercolors at home, that's okay. And if you're in school and you do, that's great. You can still color in your background. You can use crayons. You can use whatever you have. So I am going to start by doing a really cool technique that I want to teach you today. And I am going to do some swirls and basically curvy lines in my background using this yellow crayon, so that when I actually put some watercolor in the background, you will see the swirls, because crayons are made of wax and they resist the watercolor. So what do I mean by that? It means that once I put crayon down on this background on this paper and I put watercolor over it, the watercolor cannot go over the crayon, and you will see the crayon come through the paper. It's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to make some fun random swirls, and these will pop up after. So maybe I do a few random ones over here like this, and I just kind of want it to seem like there's some clouds and different things going on in the background. Maybe some wind coming through. Okay, so you can't see it yet, but you'll see it in a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is, before I do my watercolor background, I'm actually going to color in my entire balloon first. I'm going to make a brown basket, and then I'm going to have fun doing the design of my balloon with different colors. You can do a few different colors. You could do an entire rainbow theme. You can make your hot air balloon however you want with whatever colors that you want. So I am going to simply start to color mine in. So for example, I'm going to start with this area right here, yellow, and maybe I do want to have everything be the same on both sides. I don't have to. Again, that's symmetrical when things are the same on both sides, or symmetry. I also can use markers. I kind of wanted this project to be a multimedia project, which means that you're using all different types of materials on it. So I could do that yellow, and right below, maybe I use some orange in this area. And remember, when you're coloring in your project, I want you to do your best to stay inside the lines so that your project comes out nice and neat and you can read it better. So when I say read it, I mean that people who are looking at your project are actually able to visually see it the best that they can. So notice that I didn't leave any white spots. I want the most color to appear as possible. And I'm going to take my time doing this. So I am going to color this in. I'm going to speed it up for you so you can see. And you can start to color in your hot air balloons. And then, like I said, I will show you the watercolor technique in the background. Okay, so there you can see that took me some time, but I decided to go with a more rainbow colored hot air balloon. I just love seeing all the colors together, and notice that I used warmer colors towards the top and then kind of went to cooler colors towards the bottom. These remind me of Henry Matisse a bit because he was known for using a lot of bright colors in his work, and that was called Fauvism. All right, so now on to the background, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm going to do a background that looks like it's almost like a sunset, and I'm going to have a lighter pinkish red color towards the bottom. It's going to move up towards a purple and a blue at the top, and we are going to, again, be using watercolors. So the neat thing about watercolors is that you can kind of layer them as you go. You would need to obviously add water into the paint to kind of activate that paint. So what I'm going to do right now is just start by adding a few droplets of water, just going into the water cup and then into the paint. And then I'm swishing my brush around into the paint, and just getting this red color onto my brush. Okay, and the more watery the paint is, you'll notice that it will be a little bit lighter on your paper. If you have less water in here as you go along, it's going to be darker. So I just want a little light color red, pinkish color, and I'm going to just move this around on the paper, and you're going to notice I did put those crayon colored marks on my paper. So you can see that yellow one is starting to appear right there. So I wanted to see some of those crayon marks come out on my paper. And again, I'm just going to paint this in. Taking my time, pulling my brush, going around all of the lines here. Okay, and like I said, if you don't have watercolors at home, that's okay. You can just color in your background using your crayons. And even in my hot air balloon, you'll notice that I layered a little bit. So up here I did yellow in this area and then put some orange and added some value. So notice that I had it more orange at the top and then kind of let it fade away. So just kind of like used value to add to the piece. When you are painting in your sky, it's best to paint left to right rather than up and down. And that just, again, goes with the flow of how we see the sky and also how the wind works. So you don't really want to go up and down. Remember, we are going to be rinsing our brush off well in between colors. So I'm using red right now, and the next color is going to be purple. So I am going to wash my brush really well in between, and then I'm going to switch to purple, and I'm going to use the paper towel to wipe off any excess water or paint off my brush. I love watercolors because they have such a neat look to them. Again, they're kind of like a washy color. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush, give it a good scrub at the bottom, wipe any water off on the edge of the cup. I'm going to dab on the paper towel. If it comes out clear, I know I am good to go to the next color. Okay, that looks pretty clear. So I'm going to add some water to purple. A few drops should do. Swooshing my brush around, and now I can add some purple to my sky. Remember, left to right. And I'm going to, again, speed this up. I'm going to go from purple to a blue color towards the top. And I also want to layer a little bit on top of the red that I just did, because we know that sunsets have colors that fade into each other. So I think that'll be kind of neat, just to layer a little purple on top of the red so it's a nice transition. We'll keep working our way up. Okay. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these hot air balloons. I actually been going back into the paint a little bit with the blue and a little bit less water so it comes up darker on my painting. And I'm just adding some more, like a few lines in the background to make it seem like the sky, and remember I'm going left to right, has a little more variation in the background. Added a tiny bit of blue down here too. So I really like the way it came out. It's really bright. It looks like a sunset, a fiery sunset at night. And again, however you designed your balloon is great. If you wanted to do multiple colors or just a few, that's good. And now I'm just going to clean off my brush, make sure that it's really clean at the bottom, leaving no paint on it at all. So this is how we are cleaning up at the end of the class and wiping this off. Okay, put this away, and we are all set. So I look forward to next week's lesson with you. And again, I hope you had fun learning how to use multimedia, meaning crayons, markers, and watercolor.